evening and welcome, community, to another segment of Educational Thursdays. You guessed it, the bishop is not here, but in his absence, you have myself, Coley's Hollins, co-host with both sides of the conversation. If you have not already followed us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, go ahead and subscribe, like us, and follow us at both sides of the conversation because we are changing the narrative. The mission of both sides of the conversation is to analyze the needs of the Black and Brown community, criticize any barriers that impact the advancement of the community, and then mobilize to support the community in overcoming these barriers. We do this through open dialogue and community outreach. We are about the action community. We believe in blessing the people, all about the action. We will now be getting into the world and local news and community events. You know, there's always something going on, and I'll tell you, there were 9 dead after 2 Black Hawk helicopter crashes in Kentucky. All 9 service members on board have died after 2 U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopters crashed during a training mission in Trigg County, Kentucky, an Army official confirms today at ABC News. The Black Hawk helicopters from the 101st Airborne Division were on a routine training mission when they crashed at about 10 p.m. on Wednesday, Army officials said. Please pray for all those affected. More locally, a woman's body was wrapped in plastic, rolled in carpet, and dumped in Oakland. This was a mother, you all, a 33-year-old woman who was wrapped and rolled up in this carpet and dumped in Oakland, the victim's mother told KTVU. Christy Miles said her daughter, Megan Ashley Lynch, was found dead in the 2100 block of Brush Street on March 23rd. I feel like I'm losing my mind, Miles said. Miles' son, Devin West, 27, was killed at Santa Rita Jail last year by a cellmate. She has 2 remaining children left. You know, it's unfortunate. It's awful. You know, all this death and all this negativity, shooting, killing, murders. It's just awful. You know, the enemy is at war, seeking who he can devour. A man's body riddled with multiple gunshot wounds found along I-580 in Oakland. A man in his late 50s was found with multiple gunshot wounds along Interstate Highway 580 in Oakland and pronounced dead on scene, according to the Highway Patrol. The shooting was reported Wednesday at about 10:30 p.m. west of Park Boulevard, shutting down I-580 in the eastbound direction until 4:50 a.m. on Thursday. The man who was killed was driving a red Chrysler minivan, which was also riddled with bullets. I mean, Swiss cheese just shot up. That's nearly double the number of freeway shootings in Los Angeles, which saw 77 last year. And as the number of freeway shootings are dipping in LA and across California, the Bay Area is unfortunately bucking that trend. You know, it's bad. We need to really, really, really think about what we're doing. You know, these guns fall into the hands of the wrong folks. Now, there's some things that I disagree with these proposed gun laws, but it's all about the people that have these guns. You know, these folks don't be having all their screws tightened and their bolts knotted down. It's just awful because then you have people that are able to carry guns. It gets ruined for them when they want to just safeguard their home and their belongings and make sure they have a safe environment and be responsible. It's ruined for them because we have the crazies out there running loose and just shooting. San Jose Police Union executive charged with distributing opioids. I'm talking about fentanyl, synthetic fentanyl, tramadol, Soma, and Ambien. San Jose, California. The executive director of the San Jose Police Officers Association was charged with distributing opioids, according to federal officials. The Department of Homeland Security on Wednesday said the U.S. Attorney's Office was charged a civilian, Joanne Segovia, 64, with ordering thousands of opioids and other pills to her home between October 2015 and January of this year. You know, she alleged to have smuggled the opioids from foreign locations like Hong Kong, Hungary, India, Singapore. So Segovia is alleged to have used her office at the police union as a means to distribute the substances. According to a criminal complaint, she smuggled them in as wedding party favors, makeup, chocolate, sweets. The complaint alleges she continued to order controlled substances even after being interviewed by federal officials in February 2023. She was interviewed again in March 14th, get this, blaming the orders on another woman who she identified as a family friend and a housekeeper who suffered from a substance disorder. Just lying. That is just inappropriate, unacceptable, and just dumping the not being accountable. Segovia is charged with an attempted to unlawfully import Valeryl fentanyl. If convicted, she can face up to 20 years in prison. Now, we know that this fentanyl thing has just spread worldwide, and it's really been bad in the Bay Area. It's taking people out. It's taking people out. This fentanyl, the fake fentanyl, it's just awful. 4 arrested in 18 armed robberies, Oakland police say. 4 men who allegedly carried out a string of 18 armed robberies in the East Bay have been arrested, Oakland police announced Wednesday. The suspects, ranging in the ages of 18 to 24, are accused of using guns, knives to rob mostly Latino people of their purses, wallets, jewelry, and other items, police allege. Some victims were pistol whipped by the suspects, who are from Hayward and Oakland. The robberies began last month, with the most one taking place just 6 days ago. Victims are mostly on foot and attacked at night. And the victims are ages 18 to 65. So please, community, stay indoors at night. If you haven't done all your shopping or whatever, running around errands you have to do during the day, nighttime is not to be running around doing nothing. We have people out here plotting on folks in the dark. And you're more vulnerable too. You can't see everything in the night. We shouldn't be out there at night, truly speaking. We have a home to go to, appreciate our homes and just get to them. A teen who paralyzed a woman in a Houston robbery confesses over jail phone. I grabbed her, slammed her, and she was paralyzed. Joseph Harrell, the 17-year-old teen who was arrested in connection to a violent robbery that left a Vietnamese mother paralyzed last month, was caught on a jail phone call confessing to the crime. In the calls obtained by ABC 13, Harrell can reportedly be heard discussing probation while laughing at folks who believed he could spend up to 20 years in prison for his crime. We were snatching purses, Harrell confessed. I hopped out, snatched the purse. The lady ran with the money. I grabbed her, slammed her, and she was paralyzed. The lady probably wants justice and some more, She'll try to max me out 20 years, basically. That so-and-so, I ain't going for it. That so-and-so, again, y'all know what he said, already ran up $230,000 off GoFundMe. Again, vulgar. Better run on with her life. You done ran up $230,000. I mean, just talking all loosely and crazy over this phone, then did this harm to people. That could be anyone's family member. It's not right. It's not right. Our youth really need to think of what they're doing. This is awful. 17 years old. You're just going to give your life up like that. You have to really be mindful of your future, what you want to do in life, and be cognizant to what you want in life. What you want in life, community. Please, it's important. On with our community events, something more positive. You Speak's hosting a writing and performance workshop, has a spring series. This is at 265 Shotwell Street, and there will be a Zoom available. This is going on now through May 31st. Family Day at Zacco Studio. Hip-hop classes for all ages, April 1st, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. 1777 Yosemite Avenue, number 330 in San Francisco. For more information, you'll hit the link below. Health fair for the unhoused people and others in need of care. Medical care, testing, vaccines. There's a variety of services that will be rendered this day. April 4th, 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at the San Francisco Public Library. That's at Larkin and Grove outside the Larkin Street entrance. MOAD members invited to the Black Venus opening reception. This is happening April 4th, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. at 685 Mission Street at 3rd, and we have the link below. San Francisco HRC and Sharp presents Screening of a Triggered Life, a Rakim of Healing, April 5th at 5 p.m. This is at the Wilsey Center Atrium Theater at 401 Van Ness Avenue, 4th floor. There's free tickets at the link below. Economic Rights Division at the San Francisco Human Rights Commission, San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. State of Black San Francisco, Economic Dignity and Booms and Busts, April 7th. You can register for your tickets at eventbrite.com. Office of Economic and Workforce Development, second annual Hospitality and Small Business Job Fair. This is happening April 12th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the One Ferry Building in the Front Plaza. You go ahead and register at the link below. Women Got Game, Women of Color Gaming Summit and Esports Tournament, April 15th. For more information, you can go to the link below. It looks like these women is catching up with these men playing these video games, so y'all better watch out. BEAM, Black Economic Equity Movement, Guaranteed Income Project, San Francisco and Oakland. The deadline is April 16th. You go ahead and apply at the link below. Enough, Plays to End Gun Violence. Call for submissions now through April 20th. Calls for teenagers, submit a 10-minute play that confronts the issue of gun violence. For more information, you go ahead and hit the link below. Mackey's Corner presents Suicide Awareness and Prevention. This is happening June 3rd at Gilman Park in San Francisco. For more information on how you can help, there will be an email address below. SFHRC, regular bi-monthly commission meetings is second and fourth Thursdays at 5 p.m. at the San Francisco City Hall, room 416. There'll be a Zoom call-in as well as the web ID and passcode below for you to access the meeting. The Dreamkeeper Initiative monthly meeting is every third Thursday. You can go to the website and get more information on that. African American Reparations Advisory Committee has their monthly meetings virtually at 5:30 p.m. Go ahead and register at the link below. There's an after-school writing workshop at Youth Speaks office. San Francisco teens receive a $300 stipend. This is on Wednesdays at 4:30 p.m. at 265 Shotwell Street at Unit B1. And you can go ahead and access the email address below for more information. Remove Reverend Brown, Amos Brown, from the NAACP and Reparations Task Force. Reverend Brown does not represent the change we need. Both sides of the conversation need your support and signature. To access the link to add your signature to the actual the ballot, please access that link below because both sides of the conversation need your support on this signature. For more information on opportunities for all and scholarships, we have a Pathways to Economic Inclusion for Youth. OFA fellow apps are now open. Have fun, get paid. Must be 18 years old and a high school graduate or GED. For more information, we'll have that link below. There's more opportunities for all. This is Pathways to Economic Inclusion for Youth, and it's an intern application that's also open. Have fun and you do get paid. For more information on that, there will be the link below. Close the Gap Foundation having a summer fellowship scholarship opportunity. The program is from June 4th to September 17th, and the applications are due March 31st. That's tomorrow, so get up on it. More information will be at the link below. The City and County of San Francisco has an upcoming career event at the Career Resource Fair, April 15th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Civic Center Plaza at 355 McAllister Street in San Francisco. You can go ahead and register at that email address below. San Francisco youth volunteers are needed. We have a paid stipend. High school or college honor roll students, join us. Come, email us, hr@bsotc.org. And let me tell you, we empower our youth, we support our youth, we push our youth forward. We want them to be successful, and we are concerned about their future. And so with that being said, we are here for our youth. Both sides of the conversation is in search for volunteers. There's more positions available. Our work is inspiring and feels good. We make a difference in the community. We move with actions, with tangible results to show it. We are a highly driven group with high impact. We get the right things done the right way. Not only will you contribute to the community, but you'll also learn a lot and gain knowledge in your field of interest within the organization. We value your ideas and input. Sign up to be a volunteer today. You can make a difference. Go to all of our social media sites for more news on how to give back to your community and support both sides of the conversation. Now, we have some upcoming shows. So Sunday's conversation, the topic is the criminal justice system. How does it impact our community? That'll be Sunday, April 2nd at 4 p.m. And we always have our Tuesday Hidden Gems, April 4th at 7 p.m. You know, it's always good to be involved in your community because we have a host of things that you can do. So it is just with great applaud. I mean, we are so glad about today's Educational Thursday. Penni McConnell, she has a great topic coming up about planning for a rainy day, which is today. And you know, you have to be ready. You always have to be ready and understand. Now, Penni McConnell, she serves multiple roles at the Victory and Praise Church of Stockton. Ms. Connell serves as a business administrator for the Victory and Praise. She has a host of positions. And when I tell you she has a great thing to offer us tonight, we are in for a treat. So, community, please go ahead and welcome Miss Penni McConnell. She is coming to us today. Hi, Penni. How are
Thank you. Hey, girl. Hey, thank you for the introduction. So much going on in the Bay Area. Man, oh man,
Yes,
some
so
good
much.
stuff. I hope people take advantage of all the programs, get their kids involved. The
Absolutely.
old folks say idle hands, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
thank you for all that you do to share information with the community because there's a lot going on that we need to be plugged in. And thank you for having me on today. I do want to talk about planning for a rainy day, and I'm not talking about just having your umbrella.
Yes, I understand.
I'm not talking about having an umbrella. I'm talking about having our papers and our business in order so that when the inevitable happens, because guess what? Death's going to happen. And we don't like to talk about it. And it is a difficult subject. You were saying at the top of your program tonight, you were talking about the woman that was wrapped up in the rug. You know, she didn't wake up that morning thinking she was going to die.
No,
And I heard you say she left 2 children, right?
yes.
We never know when we're going to be suffer from incapacity. We're going to be in an accident. We're going to trip and fall and bump our head, and all of a sudden we can't remember how to pay our bills. We never know when that's going to happen. But I would suggest, and what I want to talk to everybody about, especially my black and brown brothers, we got to brothers and sisters, we got to do better because our business is not being handled. And it doesn't matter if we talk about generational wealth, if we don't put things in place to set our family up for success. So that's what I want to talk about. I want everybody to ask all the questions. If I don't know, I'm not going to make up nothing and lie to you. I'll just tell you, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to look it up and find out. But hopefully, this information will bless your people, all of the audience that's watching. So I do have a PowerPoint. No, we're just going to chat. Let's just have some girl time. How about that?
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Planning for a rainy day. So there's a few things I want to talk about. I want to talk about documents, and this is boring grown-up stuff. It's nothing exciting. It's nothing sexy about it. But I promise you, every time someone gets in trouble and can't get anything done. And I'm sure your guest, the audience, can think of a time when someone, Granny died, and we tried to go to the bank, and they wouldn't give us the money, and they wouldn't tell us. Or now we don't have the passwords, so we can't get in. We can't do. All of that can be avoided if we do some planning in advance. There's a couple things I want to talk about. First of all, I want to talk about some documents that are going to help you put plans in place when you cannot speak for yourself. The first one I want to talk about is the Advanced Directive for Healthcare. And I'm sure that's a really long phrase and no one really knows what it is. But what it is, it's a document that you fill out. And if you're a Kaiser member, Kaiser has them and they'll keep it on file. If you're not a Kaiser member, you've got to download it. But it's a document that you've put in place and you just stick somewhere and let your family know, where you give people the power to make decisions for you, medical decisions for you in the case that you cannot. It allows your family members or whoever you decide to have conversations with your doctor. HIPAA laws prevent, in some cases, even spouses cannot have conversations with in HIPAA, right? So it'll let your family or your loved ones have conversations with the doctor. It'll let them make decisions when you can't. It will also let them know how you feel about certain things. So some people don't want to be organ donors, right? Some people do want to be organ donors. And yes, you can put the little dot on your driver's license and that tells the hospital. But what if they lose your wallet? You get in a car accident. This document will let your family know, yes. And it also will talk about end of life measures, heroic measures. Yes, I do want you to fight for my life. No, if I code, let me go. All of that needs to be in writing. You got a question?
Yeah, well, you're saying you're talking about the do not resuscitate. It's called the DNR. The
That's
DNR
part
is
of
the
it.
do not resuscitate. Okay. Okay.
But this document, the advanced directive, it talks
Mhm.
about all of that. And part of the
Yes.
do not resuscitate. Yeah, so let's talk about that. Do not resuscitate. If you do not have a DNR, a do not resuscitate order, they're going to keep trying to bring you back. They're going to keep trying to do it. And depending on the hospital and depending on the situation, your family can be out in the lobby fighting about whether or not let her go, keep her, let her go, keep her, let her go, keep her. And that's not what you want, right? If you have a thought, your family needs to know what the thought is. Your family needs to know what you want. They would, they may not agree with your choice and they don't have to. But if you make the choice for them, oh, there we go. If you make the choice for them, more than likely they're going to honor what you want. And it's a really hard choice to make. There we go. So here's the thing about this. Whoever you choose, they have to be over the age of 18. And I need you to choose wisely. What you don't want is the cousin who every time is always falling apart or don't ever pay their phone bill. So when the doctors call, they can't get in touch, right? Or who, yeah, choose wisely, choose wisely. And you can have up to 3 people that you name that will have the power to talk on your behalf to your doctors, to the hospital, to the ambulance, to the hospice people. They can speak for you when you can't. And it can be a temporary thing. Like I said, what if you walk out the house, trip, fall, and hit your head and you're in a coma? Who's going to speak for you? You don't want your family to have to go to court, and you don't want the hospital to make decisions for you. You want to make the decisions while you have the right to do it. So everybody should have an advanced directive for healthcare. You can go online. The form is free. You can Google it and download it. It'll take you maybe 20 minutes to fill it out. If you've never thought through what you want, it's not going to take you that long. And then name your 3 people that you trust. And they may not even be family members. If you're always fighting with your sister, don't put her down as your spokesperson, because you might trip and bump your head, and she's mad at you now. She's not answering the phone, and yeah, don't do it.
Vengeance is hers.
Vengeance is hers, right? Because you're giving power. You're giving them the power to manage your healthcare issues. So choose wisely.
Absolutely.
That's the first document. And especially, we've got to make sure that our seniors have these documents, but it's not just for seniors. If you are an adult over the age of 18, no one can speak for you if you don't give them the right to speak for you. We got a lot of single people that have kids who the kids can't speak for you. They're too young. It don't matter. If they're 17, it don't matter. They don't have the right to speak for you. So we've got to have this document in place. So that's the first document. The second document that I want everybody to have is a power of attorney. A power of attorney, so this is the difference. The first one was for your medical issues. This power of attorney, now this is for your financial matters. And this one, you've got to be careful, because a power of attorney gives someone the right to manage your finances in the case that you cannot. So that means they can have access to your bank account, they can pay your bills, they can manage your money, they can call Social Security and deal with all of that. Again, the person that you name has to be over the age of 18, but this one you need to really choose wisely, because if you don't, they can walk in the bank and wipe your bank account out if you're incapacitated. In these 2 documents, They're for when you're alive. They speak for you. You're still alive, but for whatever reason, you're incapacitated and you can't manage on your own. That's what these two documents do for you. But choose wisely. If it's someone that don't manage their money, they're not going to manage yours. If they don't pay their bills, they're not going to pay yours. If they still owe you that same $100, don't give them the right to have access to your money because they're not going to do it. They're not going to do right. So these are two documents that you should have in your, I'm going to call it your estate plan. What we're talking about is in essence your estate plan. And most people think, oh, I don't have an estate. If you have a checking account, you have an estate. Because no one can touch that money if you don't give them access to it. So those are the two documents that everybody should have on this side of living. Have it typed up, handwritten. It has to be either witnessed or notarized, but the forms are free. All you got to do is Google it, download it, fill it out, tell somebody that you have it, the people that you've chosen, and put it in a file somewhere. And hopefully you'll never, ever, ever have to access it. But if you do, it's going to save your family so much heartache, especially if you're single and you have kids. Who's going to be able to pay the bills for your kids to stay in the house if you're incapacitated?
Wow, that is very important. So what I'm hearing is that you can actually download these free forms and get them notarized and have a witness.
Yes, either you get them witnessed or you get them notarized, either one. But it
Okay.
takes no money to get these things in place. They're free. And it's going to save your family so much heartache if you just take an hour or so and pull these documents together and get them someplace where people can find them and let them handle your business.
All right. Very important, community. Listen up.
Now, let's talk about the rest of your estate. I love this side. If you don't have an estate plan, the state has a plan for you. This is the part that nobody wants to deal with, this probate thing. And I hope everybody understands about probate, but if you don't, let me tell you about probate. Probate is the legal process that when someone dies, that you have to go through to get the deceased person's name off of things and get it transferred to their heirs. If you don't have a will or a trust, the courts get to decide who gets your stuff. And there's a whole long list that they go through to decide who gets your stuff. Now, I know in our community, because I see it all the time, someone will say, oh, well, we can keep driving the car as long as we keep paying the car note. No, that's not how that works. Oh, well, we can live in the house as long as we keep paying the mortgage. Granny been dead. No, that's not how any of that works. Actually, that's illegal. It's fraud because Granny's gone. You have to get these things out of the deceased's name and get it to the people that they should have. But who's going to know if you don't put some things in place? So, a couple different ways you can do it. You can have a will. A will is better than nothing. But even if you have a will, you're still going to have to go through the probate process. And the probate process is very expensive. It's expensive financially because you typically have to hire an attorney and their fees are set by statute. So it's not, they don't negotiate. This is what they get paid because the law says this is what they get paid. And that money comes out of your estate. So say, for example, and this is not unusual, especially in the Bay Area, you have $1 million estate because you own a home. Okay. And you have a will or you don't have a will. Because if you don't have a will, you still got a probate. The attorney's fees that they get paid are based on the value of that estate. And if you don't have any cash, you're going to have to sell that house to pay it. And then guess who gets the money? Remember that cousin that you didn't like? Yeah, they probably are going to be the one that gets the money because there is a law. The law lists the heirs. So if your parents are deceased and your siblings are deceased and you don't have a spouse and you don't have kids, then they start looking for cousins. So yeah, cousins. And it's a very costly, emotional process. And even if you have a will, your family can fight I've seen families fight over a pen. And it's not about the pen. It's about all the stuff that didn't get dealt with when Granny was alive. Granny liked you better. She always bought you school shoes. So no, you can't have this pen. Nobody cares about the pen, right? Nobody cares about the pen. And all the while, the attorneys are racking up fees. They're racking up fees. And that money is money that could have gone to your heirs. So a will is good. It's better than nothing. But what you probably should really have is what's known as a trust. A trust will manage your property, and it's outside of probate. You don't have to go to court. You can be very specific about what you want and what you don't want. You can put in, for example, if say you've got a nephew, so you don't have children of your own, and you've got a nephew, you love him dearly, but he's a little immature, but you want to leave him something. Well, in a trust, you can say he can't have it until he turns 21, or he can't have it until he turns 25. Wills, you can't do that. If he's over the age of 18 and you name him in your will, he get to have it. He can run off and go to Mexico and do whatever he wanted to do with it and be broke in a year. Wow. Wills, trust, it might cost a little bit more upfront to get it established, but once you get it established, it's going to save you a lot of emotional heartache, and it's going to save you money in the long run, because you don't have to go to court. You don't have to hire an attorney to deal with it. All you got to do is take that trust, whoever's the trustee, take it and transfer assets, get the money out the bank, and distribute it according to what the trust, what the terms of the trust were. That's usually the best way to go. It's usually the best way to go.
So I have a question on that. Now, we talked about earlier power of attorney. Now we're talking about the trust. How do they connect?
So the power of attorney is only when you're alive. Okay. The moment you die, the power that was given under the power of attorney stops.
You hear that? All right.
And then either you have a will that speaks for you, or you have a trust that speaks for you, or if you have nothing, the court will talk for you. And I promise you, it's not going to be what you want. It's never going to be what you want.
So to make sure we all understand, the power of attorney dies with you.
Yes.
Okay. It dies with you. So you want to have a trust in motion.
Yes. 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 A minimum, a will, preferably a trust. Preferably a trust. And if you own a home, doesn't matter that you have a mortgage, you probably want to put it in a trust, so that your heirs don't have to deal with probate at all. It's going to save them a whole lot of money and a whole lot of issues. But these things need to be put in place now. It rains all the time. People die all the time. And I know it's a painful subject. Nobody wants to talk about it. It would be wonderful if we knew when we were going to die, and we could, have our family around us and, do like they do in the Bible, pronounce the blessings. That's not how that works. That's not how life works. Most people don't know the day they wake up. Most people don't know that's the day they're going to die. They just don't. Most families, in addition to the grief that they're suffering, this is another level of grief, because now I'm grieving because I lost someone. And now I've got to deal with all of the things that they didn't take the time to deal with. And it is another level of grief.
Well, there's another level when folks don't have life insurance.
Oh, my word. Oh, my word.
When they have to wash cars and sell barbecue dinners, and then, wait for this issue. So there's so many.
Can we stop? Can we stop? Can we stop selling chicken dinners? Can we stop standing in the islands at the light, running up and down with the can, with the sign? Can we stop that? Give up Starbucks for a month and go buy some life insurance, please. Yes. Please. So yeah, trust. Avoids the whole probate process. And here's the thing about life insurance. Life insurance, you don't need a trust or a will to deal with life insurance. Life insurance goes directly to your beneficiary. They don't pay taxes on that money. And we talk about generational wealth all the time, but here's the truth of the matter. We have hundreds of years in this country that we're behind the eight ball economically. It's for most of us, there's no way that we're going to set up our lives that we can now have this bulk of money that we leave to our heirs. Life insurance can do that. Life insurance, you can get enough life insurance to really make an impact on the next generation. You really can. They don't have to pay taxes on it. And if you teach your kids how to manage money, you don't have to worry about them blowing through it. If your kids are under a certain age, they can't, even if you name them beneficiaries, they can't get the money directly if they're under the age of 18, but it could be put in a trust for them. You can set up in a trust, and the proceeds of the insurance would go to the trust, and it'll sit there and grow until they're old enough to manage it. So really, life insurance for our community is a low cost investment that we can make, that we can leave. Because how else, for some of us, I don't know about anybody else, but I got a whole bunch of student loans because I went to college late. I have a whole lot of student loans. Where am I going to get $500,000 to leave to my son and my granddaughters? Probably not going to happen. But I can buy life insurance and set them up for success. And they don't have to be selling chicken dinners to try to figure out how to pay for my funeral. If I buy some burial insurance.
Yes, absolutely.
If we give up some Starbucks for a month, if we make some small adjustments for a few months, we really do have the ability to set our families up for success. And it doesn't take a whole bunch of money to do it. What questions do you all have? So, trust. So there's a couple different kinds of trust. Let me talk about this real quick. There's an irrevocable trust and a revocable trust. An irrevocable trust, most people don't need an irrevocable trust. An irrevocable trust means you can't change the terms of it once you establish it. And people usually do it when they have really, really multi-million-dollar estates and they're trying to do some tax planning for their heirs. Most people, and I'm talking about usually it's the 1%. The 1% have irrevocable trust. Most of us would have a revocable trust, which means we can change it as we want to. So say, for example, again, I keep talking about single women. You're single, but you own your own home. And so you set up this trust, and then someday your prince comes, and now you want to change it because now you've got this husband, and now you've got this, and now you have kids. So it's very easy to amend a revocable trust. But in the unfortunate thing, if you pass, at least this stuff is in place. Along with the revocable trust or even an irrevocable trust, you still do a small will. It's called a pour over will, like literally like you're pouring over. And what it says is if something doesn't accidentally, I forget to file something, I buy something, forget to put it in the trust, I intend for everything to be managed by my trust. And so really every single person who owns a car, has kids, owns a home, has a condo, should have at a minimum a will, a trust with a pour over will. You need to have your advance directive and you need to have a power of attorney. What questions do you guys have? I'm doing all the talking.
Wow. So if you can clarify the purpose of a trust and a will, if there's a homeowner, they have monetary assets such as bank accounts, large balances, stock, CDs, and so on. I mean, there's just money everywhere, different accounts, and they're a young person. Say, for instance, and something happened to them. What's the difference? What do they need to have set in place so that they make sure that, the state doesn't get involved? It doesn't go into probate.
I would recommend a trust. The trust is the only thing that's going to keep you out of probate. Anything else, you're going to end up in probate court. A will, the court has to manage the will. No will, you definitely have to go to court. The only way you can avoid going to probate court is to put everything in a trust. So it would be the Penni McConnell Revocable Living Trust. And I would put my house. And when I say put it in the trust, you take the deed and you change the ownership of the deed into the trust owns the house. Take it out of your name, you put it as an asset in the trust, right? The bank accounts, they're held in the name of the trust. You still own them and you still can manage them and do whatever you want, but they live in this trust that you've created. And that's what keeps you from having to do probate, because the trust determines. You set up a trustee, you have a trustee who will make sure that your wishes are taken care of.
Now, is there a certain age that you would recommend the individual to set up a trustee account? I mean, because I've never heard of a young person just going in there and adding a trustee to their bank account. I mean, you don't want to put nobody in your bank account when you got, your money in there. Uh-oh. Did we lose you, Penny? Okay, it looks like she may have lost her Wi-Fi, but you've heard it, community. We're talking about advanced directives. We're talking about power of attorneys. We're talking about do not resuscitate, the DNRs. That is something very informative that you really want to know in a bad situation if you're sick in the hospital. Now, the power of attorney, like Penni McConnell stated, that is only existing while you're living. It dies when you die. And so it is very fortunate that you go with a trust. A trust will keep you out of probate court. And those documents, such as the actual power of attorney and the trust, we've talked about wills, you can get them witnessed and or notarized. We've heard it all. And we'll see if Miss Penny comes back. To see if she comes back to finish giving us information on this. But so far, community, you know what is required of you. You have to make sure that you have planned for a rainy day. No, we don't want to lose our family members. No, we don't want to have family members die. But I tell you one thing, once you know that you have the responsibility of bringing someone into the world, you would want to put them on life insurance and make sure that you're not trying to gather funds to make sure that you put your loved ones aside. And as you've had it, I mean, it's important that you go ahead and make sure that you establish that, because you don't want to be out there selling dinners and worrying about probate court and being placed in an unfortunate situation when one does pass away. It's important. And it looks like we just have her back. Are you back now?
I'm back.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yes, I was just sharing with the community how important it is to get those trusts established. It's important because you don't want to be, washing cars, et cetera. You want to have everything in line, and just to share a little bit, I recall, there's a lot of experience around this area, but community, please make sure you have everything lined up. And before we go ahead and close out tonight, you want to utilize the resources. You do want to utilize the resources that Penni McConnell has shared with us. We do. I'm not sure if she's going to come back. Let's try it again.
There we go. Am I here? Am I here?
Almost. Just one more click and then we'll be able to see you.
Okay. How about that?
Yes.
Without my fancy background. I'm on my phone. I don't know what happened to my internet on my computer. I had to jump on my phone.
Yes, I'm not sure. Yes, but as I was sharing with the community, we just want to make sure that we have those things in place in case something unfortunate happens, such as life insurance. And another thing, when you're planning for a rainy day, life insurance takes a little bit, and to open and close a grave is a whole nother subject. And
yes.
So, yes, it is. And it's you have to make sure that you plan for a rainy day. So you always want to have some money on the side or put away. So is there anything else you want to add to this wonderful presentation on planning for a rainy day, Penny? Because it is very informative.
I want everybody to really, because we talk about, oh, I need to do it. Oh, I need to do it. Oh, I need to do it. Calendar, put it on your calendar and say, okay, next week, I'm going to Google this form. The next week, I'm going to Google that form. Okay. I don't know. Do I need a trust? Do I need a will? What can I get away with? Find an attorney. Call me. I do consulting. I'm not an attorney. But I do consulting. I do legal documents. If you can't do that, go to LegalZoom. Go somewhere and get these documents in place. I'm telling you, the heartache that you're going to save your family is immeasurable. And yes, it's a difficult subject. I don't want to discount the fact that no one wants to talk about this, but we have to talk about it. We have to talk about it. Somebody in the family has to stand up and say, okay, we have got to get our plans in order. It doesn't matter. I have a very dear friend. The other thing I want to talk about, let me, as my mind says, also, and it doesn't have to be fancy, get a notebook, write down all of your bank account numbers, and write down all of your passwords and leave them for someone to find. I have a very, very dear friend whose son passed away, and he was an adult. He hadn't lived at home in years, and they don't know his passwords. And so they can't get into his computer. They can't get into his phone. He has music and all kinds of wonderful things on his computer that they can't get to. And, you know, computers, especially Apple's, they're meant to, the Apple's not trying to tell you nothing. They're not going to help you break in, right? Passwords. What's your ATM PIN number? Because let me tell you, if you die on a Thursday and your mortgage is due on Tuesday, your mortgage company still wants to get paid. And while you're trying to sort out everything, if your family at least has your ATM number, they can run, pull the money out, go buy a money order. They can manage while they're trying to figure out what to do. But if they don't even know where you bank, you know, if they don't know where you bank, if they don't know what life insurance you have, if they don't know, get a binder and put all this stuff somewhere and tell somebody where it is. Somebody asked me, well, can I put it at the top shelf of my closet? Yeah, I don't care where you put it. Tell somebody that it's there and then put it up so that your family can find it. Because you're going to be in heaven dancing with Jesus and you're not going to be thinking about what's going on the earth. And your family is going to be left dealing with stuff that could have been avoided. All of this could have been avoided if we would just take the time to put our plans in place and make sure our family is clear. Again, they don't have to agree. And more than likely, they're not going to agree. But at least they know what you want. And most families will honor your wishes. They really will.
So I have a question. If you have an executor over the estate and there's a written will, does the executor have the authority to make modifications to the will, or does the will? No. Okay.
No.
Okay.
The executor does not get power until the court gives it to them. They can be named in the will. Okay, so you want Auntie B to be the executor of your will. But until she goes to court and turns that will into the court, and the court decides that it is a valid will, she has no power. Once that's done, then she can only do what the will tells her to do or what the court allows her to do.
Okay. And another question, you know, you're driving down the street and you see all these signs, wheels, $500, wheels, $400, wheels, $300. How do we know those are legitimate? How do we know that they're actually a legal binding document that will stand up in case something did happen?
Well, in California, it's really, wills are very simple. It can be, you can have a handwritten will. You don't need to go and have someone do a fancy form. In the state of California, your will can actually be handwritten, but it has to be handwritten and you have to sign it. So you can't just be a piece of note paper. This is what I want, blah, 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 blah. If you don't sign it, it's not valid. But typically those are called document preparers, which is why they're so much less than an attorney. And they use, the court has templates that they use. And as long as the will is, you're in your sound mind when you do it, and it's properly witnessed by two people. So if it's typewritten, it has to be witnessed by two people who aren't going to inherit anything.
If you handwrite it, it doesn't necessarily have to be witnessed. It can't hurt. It never can be hurt to have a witness, but it doesn't have to be. But it has to be in your own handwriting, and the whole document has to be in your own handwriting.
Wow. It doesn't have to be notarized, even though it's in your handwriting?
It can't hurt. It can never hurt to have someone verify that you are you, but you don't have to. But the whole thing has to be in your handwriting, and you have to sign it. Now, if your family, somebody pops up and says, yeah, this is not their handwriting, or they weren't in their right mind when they did it, now you're about to have a court battle. So it's not recommended that you handwrite your will, but you, in the state of California, you can do that, and it can be found valid. The court will decide if one of your heirs say that it's not. And typically, when you kind of doing stuff like that, someone's gonna fight you. Someone's gonna fight you.
Absolutely, especially when you have a lot of assets, monetary assets, and property, and it just gets ugly when someone passes. It really does.
It
So
can.
yes, there is a lot around this, and it is very important for us as a community to prepare for these things. I mean, the sooner the better. We've heard it. Is there anything else you would like to share? Looks like we had a Wi-Fi issue, but nonetheless, we'd like to go ahead and see if we can bring Ms. McConnell back before we close out on today's Educational Thursday segment. Let me see if she's available.
I'm back.
All right now. So as I was sharing with the community, is there anything else that you would like to go ahead and share with the community before we close out our Educational Thursday? Because this is a very important subject. I hope that the community understands the importance of it, because yes, you live and you have to die.
Yes, you do. Nothing is certain except death and taxes. Nothing is certain. I want the community, especially, and I keep talking about the single women, but statistically in our community, most households are headed by single women. Ladies, you have children, and we're not here to judge about how they got here, who their daddy is. That's not our business. But if you do not put something in place for your kids, you don't want your family fighting over your children. They're not necessarily going to go to your mom. They might, but they may not. If you don't put something in place, find a resource. Again, call me, right? Call the show. They'll give you my contact information. You can find me on Facebook, because it's really important to have a peace of mind. It's going to help you, and it's going to help your family. And we've got to change the generational thought that says we don't have to. If you have a bank account, at a minimum, you need to have a will. If you have children, at a minimum, you need to have a will, because then you can say where your kids are going to go. If you own a house, own a condo, you need a trust so that you'll save money. These things ain't for white folks. These aren't tools that were created for white folks. Let's just be honest, right? Anybody who has something in this state and in this country needs to put these things in place. So please, community, I am begging you. You work so hard to build your community and to build these assets. We don't want them lost, and we don't want the attorneys to get it all eaten up in attorneys' fees because we didn't take a few hours to walk this thing out and put some stuff in place.
Yes, this has been a great segment. We really appreciate you coming, Penni McConnell, because this is very important to the community. But before we go ahead and close out tonight, I hope that the community go ahead and utilize these resources that was brought to us by this important topic. I mean, we've talked about advanced directives. We've talked about the importance of advanced directives and how you want your medical care taken care of in case something was to happen to you. and you're not able to make your decisions. We've talked about DNRs, do not resuscitate, which is included in the advance directive. It talks about if you want to be revived or not. We've talked about a power of attorneys. We've talked about trusts, revocable wills. And all of this is very important. We've even dibbled and dabbled in life insurance because that's important, because you need to be put away before all this other stuff takes place. But it is very important. The sooner the better. And most importantly, single women, we need to get a head start on this thing, because we don't want our children fighting with our families over these type of matters, especially when it's time to mourn. You want to be at peace, and you want to be able to make things in order and put your loved ones away properly without having the headache of financial burden when you're not set up. So please think forward, think about your future. Put away the Starbucks or the Dutch Bros. I mean, I'm talking about $15, $20 a month. It will get you some life insurance. Put your grandbabies on life insurance, put your kids on life insurance. The sooner the better, because trust me, as your age goes up, the insurance goes up, and you don't want these health issues to take place. So community, once again, thank you, Ms. Penni McConnell. It has been a great pleasure. We appreciate you coming to the show and bringing us all of this important information. We'll go ahead and tell the community, have a good night. It is very important to plan for a rainy day. We brought it to you on an Educational Thursday. Do keep in mind Sunday's topic is the criminal justice system. How does it impact our community? We'll be talking about this April 2nd at 4 p.m. We will see you then, and have a great night, community. Thank you for spending it with us at both sides of the conversation. Thank you.